Hi everyone, I'm Steve Stoller.
And I'm Shauna Haley, and this is Inside Plano, where we take you behind the scenes of our city.
We'll introduce you to the faces and places who help make this a great place to live.
And give us lots of reasons to love Plano. Well, hello, Steve Stoller.
Hi, Shauna.
It's been a long time.
Yes, it has. It's nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you too, but our audience knows that we actually see each other all the time. But hey, we have some new things to talk about. You want to hear what's new on the podcast?
Yeah, what is new?
Well, what's new is the format of our show. You know, we took a couple months off, as we were alluding to. It was just really busy during December and January, and said, let's use this time to rethink how we want to do the podcast, because we know it has a large audience, and what can we do to bring more value?
This is our 5th season of this podcast, and we thought we'd do a little fine-tuning. So we found that, people love hearing about the inner workings of the city, and also they love hearing from people they otherwise wouldn't hear from. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend more time in conversation about these things, and we're going to talk less about just general life in the city. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think so too. And you also notice that we're, live and in person too. No more heads on a computer screen. So that'll be kind of fun. Before we dive deeply into our topic, I do have one general thing about the city that I want to mention. This month in February, it's the annual State of the City. And like this podcast, it's back live in person. It'll be February 9th at the Rodenbaugh Theater at Willow Bend Center of the Arts. That's the second level of the Shops at Willow Bend. The event begins at 5:30 p.m. and we'll be celebrating Plano's 150 years of excellence, as well as providing a look forward to the year ahead. We have our Plano Faces Fair, and it's going to be open pre and post event from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. And that's an opportunity for you to meet various city departments, to meet representatives, and can answer questions, meet and greet. I'm sure that there will be giveaways as well. Now, while the event is free, seating is limited, so we'll make sure to live stream that on planotv.org for those who can't attend.
Thank you, Shauna. With that, let's get back to business. Like any organization, the City of Plano has turnover in staff. Our longtime Police Department Public Information Officer, David Tilley, retired from that position early last year. And last September, the department appointed a new public information officer, Jennifer Chapman. Jennifer, we thought we'd start the year chatting with you about your background and role. Welcome.
Hello. Well, hello, and thank you for having me. My background is I am from North Dakota. Yeah, grew up there. My mom moved us to Florida, and then from there I went to Troy State in Alabama, where I was a collegiate athlete and just really enjoyed running versus school. And ended up with a bachelor's of science in criminal justice.
We always ask our guests to tell us something about themselves that we didn't already know.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else about you that's different, unique, interesting that we don't know?
I don't think it's unique, but I definitely have a fear of public speaking. So how I'm in this position, it's definitely a challenge. But I like challenges. And that's one of the reasons why I actually became a police officer, was to challenge myself and to, kind of stand up for the rights of the victims.
Well, in terms of public speaking, you've done great to this point.
Well, thank
and
you.
you're only
I
gonna
try
get better,
really, really hard.
Absolutely. Practice makes perfect. Well, what year did you join the Plano Police Department?
I actually joined in 2001.
Okay. So what did you do for the department before they moved you into the PIO role?
So we all started in patrol. From there, in 2007, I was tested for the neighborhood police unit. So basically, I was the neighborhood officer, where I communicated with a smaller amount of people, and then just like more one-on-one. Like, we would have time to kind of go through their problems and try to really fix things. And then from there, I was in the same unit, but I was promoted to our POP, which is our problem-oriented policing. They expect us to kind of even spend longer time, with particular projects and stuff that comes from City Hall and whatnot. That way we can find different ways to really improve the quality of life of our residents.
Was Plano your first stop in law enforcement?
It wasn't. So I actually started in Montgomery, Alabama, I was only there for 13 months, and my family wanted me to move back, and so that's what I did. I moved to Texas because they'd gone from Florida to Texas, and just working a regular retail job, I was, the officers would come in and I'd be like, okay, where is the best place to work? And I assumed that they'd be like, oh, it's Dallas, because it's like, super exciting and whatnot. And they all said Plano. Even the officers that were working in other cities, they all said Plano. So I had to Google it and look it up and figure out what was so special about Plano. And really, they are the city of excellence because there's just so many programs for not only the officers but for the community.
So for people who may not be familiar with the PIO role, what are the primary responsibilities?
My primary responsibility is to basically be the central hub of our information within the police department, whether that's getting information to our officers, to the public, through the media, or in general just really trying to make sure that we have transparency within our department and putting out information that is accurate and knowledgeable.
How does the police department keep citizens informed?
So we do have our own website, as every business does, but we also do social media. So we're on Facebook, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, all of the platforms. We have some kind of presence. We also have police blotters on our website, and of course you can always directly contact the police department for any information that you might need.
Well, you mentioned the website, and I feel like my team spends a lot of time on the website. What kinds of things can a citizen expect to find from your section?
Yeah, so we do actually have our policies on there, and they're very transparent, and they can read through that. But we also have phone numbers for other divisions, alarm permits. My office information is on there, and you can do online reporting, which is great and time saving for everybody, whether for officers and whatnot. So just explore.
Oh, gotcha.
What type of information do you share with the public, and what type of information do you keep confidential?
It really depends on the situation, right? So if it's a basic situation, we will let you know about the location. Depending on if it's part of the suspect or the victim information, though, it will be 100 block. It won't be this, the specific address of somebody, because we really want to keep our residents safe as well. We don't want to give out their personal information, when they're on the worst day of their life. So, but we'll give out name of a suspect, their age, usually kind of where they're from, and if they've been arrested, what they've been arrested for. The warrant information isn't available until they've actually been arrested. So that kind of information I cannot release until that time.
Okay, so you've been in this role for several months now. What's been your favorite part? And before you answer, I want to tell you what my favorite part of what you've done so far, and that's just because I'm a comms person. I love how the Plano PD Instagram is just so fascinating to watch. It's I make sure if I miss a post, I go back and review because they're really engaging. So anyway, kudos to you. That's really great.
Thank you. That's also my favorite part of this position is engaging with the community. On Facebook, they ask questions and I get to answer them, and they actually tell me thank you, and that's nice. There's other platforms that we try to engage on as well, Nextdoor and Instagram. So I want them to do that. I want them to know that I'm here to answer the questions. If I can provide that information, that's what I'll give them.
Fabulous. Well, I can tell you're doing a lot of good work because your followers are growing, so people are getting value from that. Well, okay, this is a new section of the podcast. We said we were going to go a little deeper. So this is what we're calling the lightning round. 10 questions that we frequently get from the community, and you get to be the first to play, by the way. So do you feel ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. First,
After this, we're going to be doing carpool karaoke.
Exactly.
I'm not ready for that.
Well, you said public speaking was the challenge, not public singing. So
I know,
Steve
so
got
I'll do
confused. All right.
Let's
Question
go.
number 1. Is it illegal to park facing the wrong direction on a
Yes.
residential street?
Yes, it is.
Can you see my posts or questions in Nextdoor?
Usually not. Sometimes if it's gone viral, we will see it, but I won't be able to comment back.
If I'm in a wreck, should I keep my vehicle in place until the police arrive so I can get an accident report for insurance?
Depends. If you are able to move your vehicle off the roadway to permit traffic to go by, that would be ideal. I do recommend taking a photograph of either the license plate or the license of the other person before you move, so that way if they just decide they're not going to stay, you have all that information.
All right. Do I need a permit to install a security system in my house?
If your security system has an audible alert or it is connected to a monitoring service, you do. And that's basically so that way the phone numbers and all that kind of stuff can be correct. And if you're going to get an alarm system, you have to keep your information updated with your monitoring service.
I just want to ask a follow-up question. You said audible alert. So sometimes people set their Ring camera to say, you are being recorded. That's not what you're talking
No,
about.
I'm talking about like the loud, like your neighbor can hear it, like you're embarrassed that you just set it off kind of thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, next question. Can you make a U-turn at a red light?
If there's no sign telling you not to,
Okay.
What,
and it's safe to do so.
what are all those things on your belt?
Oh, so we've got a body-worn camera, the Glock gun, we have magazines, taser, baton, handcuffs, my badge to get in everywhere. There's a lot of heavy stuff.
What equipment is standard in police vehicles?
So typically you'll find stuff that, you would normally find, but things that aren't obvious maybe to the public would be stop sticks, which is what we use in vehicle pursuits to get the vehicle to stop. Narcan, which we have in the vehicles for anybody that's overdosing on opiates. First aid kits, and cones, traffic cones, traffic vests, extra equipment, lots of paperwork.
Computers. You have computers.
Computers,
in
yeah,
every car, right?
computers, yeah. I used to carry like dog leashes because we get a lot of dogs off leash calls, and we try to help out animal control with that. What else is there? The radio and all that stuff. So yeah.
All right. So if you are pulling up to a 4-way stop intersection and no one else is there, is it okay to do the tap, stop, and go?
Well, you just said stop, so
Well,
you
you
can
know,
do the stop.
the tap where it's kind of like, and I slowed way down, but maybe not a total stop. No one's there.
I understand that. However, you just want to be more cautious instead of just going through there. So that way, it's safe for everybody. So I would say no, don't do that. But even when you do stop, obviously take a chance to like look up and make sure that once you're ready to go, that it's time to go.
Very good. All right. So lots of discussion about speeding in the city, and people want to know, do you guys give a 5-mile-an-hour grace of the speed limit going too fast?
Well, technically, every officer has discretion. A lot of that discretion is kind of based on the situation at the time. If you're going 5 miles over in a school zone, you are more likely not going to get any kind of warning. So, and then after that, that's really up to the officer, and it's kind of up to like the history that you've had driving too. If we see that you are not learning from your mistakes, because what we want is compliance, you most likely will get a ticket.
This is a very important question, Shauna. And I just want to say before I ask you, Shauna wrote this question.
I wrote this question because people ask this question or imply they know the answer.
All right, I'm going to let you have it. Do police officers really love donuts?
I love donuts.
Who doesn't love donuts?
I know people who have a sad donut-shaped hole in their heart don't love donuts.
I know. Like, I try not to eat them when I'm actually in uniform because I think it's silly because people then, we're kind of like going into, what would you call it? Like we're feeding into that, comment that people make. But I think donuts are great. I don't think they are the best thing that you should choose for breakfast because they have a lot of sugar and it's more of a dessert though, right?
She's so fit that I'm like, I would never admit if I had a donut if I was with you, Jennifer. I would totally never admit it.
No.
Well, Officer Jennifer Chapman, thank you so much for visiting with us.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It's not only great spending time with you, but I know Plano will really enjoy getting to know you a little bit better.
And I hope I get to know them better as well.
As well as getting to know a little bit more about the police department.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for another episode of the Inside Plano podcast. For our longtime listeners, you can find us at InsidePlano.com. And if you have any questions, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. And we will also happily forward any questions that you have for Officer Chapman over to her to follow up. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
It's been great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, until next month. Bye, Steve.
Bye, Shauna.
And that's it for our Inside Plano. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did doing it.
If you have any comments or suggestions, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Bye.
Talk to you next month. The Inside Plano podcast is brought to you by the City of Plano.